idea of this foundation is that you followed his lead. You all have really done what he'd be so proud, and I have a feeling he's here. He's right here in the middle of this room kissing each of you, male or female. He would be, I cannot tell you. So what I would like to do, I would like to be quiet and hold each other's hand and say a prayer for 9/11. It's amazing that it's such a historic day. That we, of all days, we selected this one. Anyway, I want to say to you that, you know, I can't get over that this is taking place in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's really meaningful, you know? I'm just looking at Jane. Anyway, we're going to do a few bits of business before we get into the important part, and to have a conversation with our children and to welcome them into the work and joy of the foundation. So let's get right to it. I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda. Someone make a motion. Okay, someone second it?
Second.
Okay, all those in accepting, aye?
Aye.
And any nays? I think I'd shoot you.
That's how we do business.
That's how we do business. Okay, the motion's passed. Now I'd like to turn the meeting over to Julie.
Okay. I'm not sure I need to have that.
He would listen to a project of giving, and he would say, I'll think about it. Now, this was not a Jewish one. This was something else in the community. I'll think about it. And then he did such diligence to find out all about it. So before any of you ever say anything that you have doubts about, say, I'll think about it. It's just a good reminder that how smart he was about that. He was so honest. He had great integrity and loyalty. But I've got to say one thing I beg you all to do. Get rid of the word hate. Replace it with love. And if you stand in somebody else's shoes and you find that they don't give what you think they should give, you think twice and bless them. Okay? Now, I'll tell you that we're going to say goodbye, but before this happens, I've got to tell you about my parents and grandparents. When I was about 7 years old, my father took me to my grandparents, and on my father's highboy, there was a blue box, and it had a white Star of David on it. And Jane remembers too, a lot of you will remember that box. Now, they would put, Larry remembers, yeah, we all had this at our aunts, our uncles, everybody had one. And then Jane said it would go to the Jewish National Fund. Okay, that's how all this started many, many years ago. So, we put our pennies, they would put their money, because they had change. I mean, eggs were 23 cents a dozen. So they put the other 2 cents in this jar. So what we're giving you today is a jar. And this is high tech. Because as you put your money in, it tells you how much is in there.
Oh, you gotta be kidding. That's so cool. You gotta be kidding. Like if you put
No.
it down,
So you never have to open this top. If you want to seal it, fine. But I'm giving you each money with change. We have only one problem with this. There are too many credit cards. And we don't have enough, change.
we do. We don't.
So change your dollars and start saving. Okay, each of you get one of these. Yeah, there's a penny in here. It says so. I'm such a big sport. A penny.
We each put one as it comes around the table.
Oh, it went to 26? No. Oh, it went to 26 cents?
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that fun? So you never have to go in and figure it out. So we've got enough for all of you, your children. We have 50 of them, so you all figure it out. And what I want to say to you is, I cannot tell you how much this moves me and how riding through these streets, I kept thinking of Max. And to see all of you here makes me so happy. And I thank you for that. God bless you all. Okay, then may I adjourn the meeting?
You may adjourn the meeting whenever you like.
This meeting,
But are we supposed to?
We were going to have each of the board members say something about their hopes for the next generation work, and then we were going to adjourn.
then who's going to do that?
You can start with Jane and
Margie, let's start with
My hope is that all of you will find as much enjoyment and fulfillment in working with the foundation as we do, and well, I'm speaking for myself, and that you'll all, we actually have gotten much closer, I'd say, going through this process and learning to overlap our areas of interest, and I wish that for all of you.
I just wanted to note and thank Mary and Margie for championing the next generation work in the early going. Without them, you guys wouldn't be here right now, so thank you both. I think my comment is that Pops and Deary not only prove to us that philanthropic values are very important, but they give us a model for what each one of you could be, meaning that you could be the next Max Fisher. You could be the next Marjorie Fisher. And knowing that that aspiration can lead you to hooking your passion and heart with other people's needs is critically important to move our entire world forward. You can be the leader that everybody needs to follow if you decide to do that.
There were two questions in here. One was, when did you first start? And Mom told about her time. And I want to say that when I was in school, I don't know if you all know what candy striping is, but do you remember me with my little pink and white pinafore and my little hat? I did. I loved the outfit. But I actually did love what we did. We took care of people who were in hospitals, and we did the things that the nurses didn't have time to do. Anyway, that was my first. And I will be telling you all a little bit later about my area, my impact area. But my hope for you is that you learn what it means to give back to your community and to those in need that you know and that you watch and that you see. And to do it with incredible love and to do it with great diligence and without any judgment. And I think that's probably the hardest thing. But you all are in a unique position and you have an incredible opportunity. And I hope to be around for a very long time to watch you all take over.
My first memory, I was thinking of volunteering was, I think I was 4 or 5 at Brookside, and we had to collect for care. We had to collect for care packages. You know, care was where you send food overseas. And I couldn't understand what did that mean, because here we were in this amazing place. And the other thing I remember was at age 6 when Mother told me that I wasn't going to get any birthday presents because I had sent a child to camp, which I didn't think was very nice at the time. But when I came to understand what that meant, after I went to camp and I realized how much fun I had, that there was someone that couldn't afford that opportunity, it really had meaning, and it still resonates with me today. We've been given a great sort of legacy that we've been able to follow, and I was a little overwhelmed at first when I helped start a foundation with 2 other women called Love Light, and I was really overwhelmed because here I had these great, amazing people in my life, my father, my mother, Mary, Jane. What could I do that would have any impact? You know, they're working on the world level, and what could I do? And a friend of mine said to me, there's 2 stories. One is she said to me, brighten the corner where you are. And, you know, whatever you do. And I don't know how many of you know the story of the starfish. And I'm just going to tell you the story for those of you, and I apologize for the people who do. But it was a great storm on the beach one day, and there was this man walking down the beach, and there were all these starfish that washed up after the storm, and they die when they wash up on the beach. And this man was walking down the beach, periodically picking the starfish up and throwing them in the water, but there were so many of them, and this little boy saw him doing this, and he came up and he said, Mister, what are you doing? And he said, I'm helping save these starfish. They're going to die if they are still on the sand. And he said, well, you're only picking them up. What difference does it make? And you look into this one starfish. There's all these starfish. And he picked up a starfish, threw it in the water, and he said, it makes a difference to that one. So whatever you do, you don't have to be giving away thousands of dollars. It's just in your heart. You can be helping someone across the street. And it's all about living life through your heart.
Okay, well, now I'll admit to being the oldest, because I'm last. Huh? Well, only because she let me go last. First of all, I wanted everybody's thanked everybody else. Before I tell you my stories, I want to thank Julie, because she served as the managing director of the foundation for the past, 4.5 years? 4.5 years? 3? Oh, well, okay, so only 3. Anyway, and it's a lot of work, effort, and she really does. I mean, Julie's an expert in the field of foundations, communication. Someday she's going to get her PhD, and so I want to, on behalf of all of us, I want to thank her for the work she's done along with the staff, because it really has been a lot of work. Well, when Doug sent us this email to think about our earliest volunteer giving experience, I've got 2. Number 1, as I remember during the war, now for those of you who don't know what war I'm talking about, it's World War II. The Great War was World War I. No, I was 10 when it was, well, I was 8 when it was over. Anyway, we had to take our tin foil and our cans and save them to give back to the war effort. And I remember taking the cans, flattening with our feet, taking the tin foil, folding it up, and I don't know where it went, but we sent it somewhere.
Well, it came from chewing gum.
Yeah. By the way, we used to take our chewing gum and put it in a glass so we could save it for the next day. No, that's how, because it was worth so much money, you had to keep it. Secondly, in my first Jewish fundraising experience, I remember going out into the neighborhoods. In those days, you could walk from house to house to solicit people for the campaign. Must have been the late 40s. It was after the founding of the State of Israel, going from house to house and asking people to make a contribution to the campaign. So, that was my first giving experience. Everybody's made great comments. Philip, you were fabulous about the future. I want to be a little more parochial. We have a responsibility. We're a responsibility, all of us, and you all will be here long after the rest of us, particularly myself and Larry, who were a little older. The responsibility to uphold the feelings of your grandfather and your grandmother, your great-grandfather and your great-grandmother, Dearie and Pops. And I believe, and I'm going to say it very strongly, that you've got to remember that Pops was very involved in the Jewish community, and I believe that this has got to be a responsibility of this foundation going forward, as well as the city of Detroit and the and Ohio State. But I think this is the responsibility. He set down. My biggest disappointment is that he didn't set guidelines for all of us. As somebody said today, he thought he could create consensus. He couldn't do it while he was here. He thought he could create it afterward. It's been very tough. I believe that there are areas that you should all give to your own, things. I think you've all started. I know all of my grandchildren. Marge, Samantha, who's going to be bat mitzvah next month, has got her own special charity because she believes the turtles that were hurt in the BP thing, that we've got to save them, and that has to be her little thing. Stanley's very involved in Friendship Circle, which you will see tomorrow. And each one of you are going to find your own area to do it. But just remember the bigger picture. This money is sitting here because of your grandfather and your grandmother, and you have a responsibility for what they did in their lives in the future. And I know we'll be very proud of all of you in the future.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Jane.
Larry wants to
I'll just take a couple of minutes. First of all, I'm the oldest in the room. Oh, well, Marjorie, you don't count, Marjorie. You're beyond that. You're going to live forever, hopefully. Anyways, you're right, Margie. Excuse me. There's one way that everybody can learn something, and I think that most of us have all learned, and it's. I can remember when my mother and father. My father used to go from store to store soliciting funds for the Allied Jewish Campaign, which is the Jewish Federation in Detroit. My mother used to be involved with Hadassah and Jewish pioneer women and all kinds of things. And they never told us what to do. But we learned from example. And this is an example that you can teach your children and your children's children by doing things and letting them see what you did. We all learned by example. Max never told us to give, but we all learned because we saw what he was doing and what Margie was doing. So remember that. That is your obligation, is to teach the generations to come.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right. I just leave this with great pleasure and expectation, great expectation of you, each one of you, doing something special and making an impact. And I have such respect for each and every one of you. So you write me a card and let me know what you're doing. I really love every one of you with my heart. So please, God bless you all. And God bless my children for being with me. God bless. Bye-bye. Meeting adjourned.